Hello, and a very warm welcome from me, Jenny Devitt, to the Dorset Life Podcast for July 2026. And hasn't it been rather more than warm this month? This is the podcast in which you'll hear from just a small selection of the people who figure in the Dorset Life magazine. So, this month, we'll hear from several of the men who regularly attend the Sturminster Newton men's shed. It's not just exclusively for men, though the women who go there were absent when I visited. We'll also be hearing from the Dorset Insider about speeding on rural roads and speed limits in villages. And have you heard about Britain's rarest native tree? Nikki Harper enlightens us about the black poplar and its current plight. And Stourbridge's boxing champion, Ruby White, is getting geared up to compete for Team GB in the Commonwealth Games. And we hope she'll continue her winning streak and come home with a medal. I'm sure she will. First, though, we'll hear from our editor, Laura Hitchcock. Laura.
Hello. As I write this, we're in the midst of the World Cup. England are still in, just. So it seems fitting that sport has found its way into this month's issue. As many of you will remember, publication week last month ended with me stumbling into my second-degree kickboxing black belt grading, fueled almost entirely by caffeine and optimism. Well, against all odds, I passed. If you told me 6 years ago I'd become a second-degree black belt just because my daughter dared me to join her Zoom kickboxing class during lockdown, I'd have laughed at you. Quite a lot. But earning my belt wasn't even the best bit. A couple of weeks later at our presentation evening, I watched our daughter collect her third-degree black belt. Now, I was proud of mine, but I was absurdly, burstingly proud of her. We all know sport's good for us. Better hearts, stronger muscles, allegedly sturdier knees. But anybody who's found their sport knows that almost beside the point. When you commit and start showing up, it's the changes on the inside you notice even more. You gain confidence, you build resilience, you discover new friends. You have a new ability to keep going when something is difficult because you've practiced doing exactly that. Olympian Carl Hester talks about it to Tamsin Dorr on page 90 this month. And it's exactly that quality I see in two of this month's other features. Ruby White, North Dorset's own pocket rocket boxing sensation, has been selected for the Commonwealth Games this month. Jenny's interviewing her later in this episode. And Jess Rimmer, our equestrian columnist who brings you tales of Jimmy, Max and Basil, has been selected for Team GB's under-25 internationals this month too. Both women are hugely talented, of course they are, but talent's only part of it. I've seen enough to know how hard they've worked for it. The freezing Tuesday mornings when nobody else is watching, the training sessions that they'd really rather skip. The discipline is to keep turning up, week after week, year after year. That's what gets you to the point where representing your country becomes possible. So if you've been thinking about trying something new, maybe this is your summer. In fact, on page 22, North Dorset Rugby Club are inviting girls to come and give rugby a go in a free taster session across this summer. No pressure, no expectations, just see if you enjoy it. But it doesn't have to be rugby or kickboxing. Might be skipping or pickleball. Go find the thing that makes you look forward to a Tuesday evening. Take your child if they're willing, or go on your own if they're not. Find a club where you're welcomed the minute you walk through the door, where the coaches are properly qualified and safeguarded, and where you leave looking forward to coming back. You never know where saying yes once might take you.
That was our editor, Laura Hitchcock. Ruby White is just 19 years old. She's from Stourbridge, and she's a champion boxer. Her talent was spotted early on by her coach, Sean Weeks, when she joined the Sturminster Newton boxing club, and she never seems to lose a fight. No surprise when she was picked not very long ago to box for Team GB, and within weeks of that, she was selected for the forthcoming Commonwealth Games. When I spoke to Ruby on the phone a few days ago, she'd just returned from Belfast.
It was an international training camp, so all of the countries that are going to be in the Commonwealth Games were there. So I got some sparring with Ireland, Ghana and India. So it was good to see what my potential opponents are like.
And how did that go?
Very, very well. All three spars I was well rested, so I competed really well against them, and I think I give everybody a little shock because obviously I'm the youngest in the whole competition, and a lot of the girls are a lot more experienced than I am, so they might not know who I was, and I think I give them a little shock in the sparring, so I'm very happy and I'm a lot more confident going up to Glasgow in a couple of weeks.
Well, of course, that's given you a bit of a foretaste of what to expect then, hasn't it?
Yes, definitely.
And given them a bit of a clue as to who you are and what you're able to do, what you're capable of.
Yes, I can't wait. I just want to get in the ring now.
Ruby, it's pretty exciting, really, isn't it? First, you get picked for Team GB not very long ago, and then almost immediately you're picked to represent Team England in the August Commonwealth Games. Your feet haven't touched ground, have they?
I know. It's going very quickly. Like you said, I've only just got on GB like a month ago, and to be picked over two other girls on the Olympic podium team, and go to the Commonwealth Games and given the opportunity to compete there, and then obviously being told about the Commonwealth Games, I'm lost for words, to be honest with you. Like, so much has happened and so many competitions are coming up, and it's all heading in the right direction for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
You're sort of waiting for things to catch up with you, are you?
Yes, I want to go to the Commonwealths now. I want to compete. I want to bring back gold, and then my eyes are fully focused on that Olympic gold medal.
So what did you have to do to qualify for selection for Team GB?
So I went up to Sheffield at the English Institute of Sport, which is where the GB gym is based. I went up there probably 4 weekends in a row, and one of them was a week, and I trained alongside the other athletes, and the coaches were doing assessment on me as I was training, looking for my qualities as a boxer. After 4 long training sessions, training camps, I got told after the nationals, after winning my national title belt, that I'd got onto the team, and then very quickly after that I got told I'd be going to compete at the Commonwealths.
Well, obviously you've created quite an impression, because that was unusual, wasn't it, to be told straight after the nationals, on the spot pretty much, that you'd been picked?
Yes, they told me it was the first time they've ever done that, and they hand-delivered the envelope to me to say I got onto GB literally 2 seconds after I got out of the ring. So I was very, very overwhelmed, but I was overjoyed, really. I ran up to my mum and gave her a massive hug, and she was just so happy for me, because I've been working very, very hard for this.
And of course you'd been having to work until your selection for Team GB, and because you're now a professional, you'd been having to work to pay the bills and train at the same time, which must have been quite a strain.
Yeah, I had a full-time job from 16 till 19, and it was quite difficult, to be honest, because it was in a contracting job, so the work was very tiring. So I'd have to wake up really early before work at 6 and do my runs in the morning, come home, do my strength and conditioning, then do my boxing sessions in the evening. So now, after giving up my job when I got onto GB, because obviously I'm in Sheffield in the week, it's almost like a breath of fresh air now. It's like everything I've worked for is now worth it. I'm a full-time athlete. I'm getting paid to do what I love, and I just can fully focus on boxing, and I don't need to worry about what time to get up for school or what time I need to be at work or where I'm working. So,
and worrying about getting enough sleep.
Exactly, yeah. I still do worry about that. Early nights win fights, that's what the coaches say.
That is a good saying, isn't it? Early nights win fights, and you stick by that rule, do you?
Yes, of course. Rest and recovery is one of the most important parts of boxing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we've just been watching the Wimbledon, and of course, those top tennis players all say the same thing, that those rest days are really, really important, aren't they? Getting enough rest.
Definitely, yes.
Now you've kind of abandoned us here in Dorset, haven't you? Because you've pretty much moved up to Sheffield. Yes,
that's correct. I do come back. I see my mum and my dad that live in Dorset on weekends or when they're free and I'm free. So after the Commonwealth, I'll have a week off, so I'll go around and see my family. But yeah, I'm missing Dorset a little bit. I'm not used to the city life. I'm normally a country girl.
Sheffield's a far cry from Stallbridge, isn't it? And Sturminster Newton.
Yes, definitely. The drive is very long every week.
You can't get there by train?
You can, but it would take longer. So there's a direct train from Taunton, so I'd have to drive to Taunton, park there, get the train, which is so expensive now, and then get another 30-minute taxi from the train station to where the gym is based. So it would just end up longer. So driving with my own music playing is probably the best option.
Yes, it's a shame that the trains are not more reliable and cheaper. So now that you're pretty much based, apart from weekends, up in Sheffield, does this mean that Sean Weeks, your coach, your long-time coach, is up there with you?
No, so after I got onto GB, I had to make the difficult decision to move actually. So I'm no longer a part of Sturminster Newton Boxing Club anymore. I now box under Trowbridge, but it's quite difficult to explain really. So with GB, it's very different to England. So I'm not allowed to box for a club anymore. Whereas when I was on England, when I was on the England team, I could still compete for my club, which was Sturminster Newton at the time. So now with GB, I can only box for them internationally. So I won't be able to enter box cups with my new club, Trowbridge. So as I moved house, I moved an hour closer to Sheffield because I was paying my own rent and living in my own flat beforehand. I couldn't really do that with the GB wage I was on because I'd just be spending all my money on rent and never be there because I'd be in Sheffield. So decided to move to the Bath area in with one of my friends so I'd pay less in rent. And the closest club, and a club that's been very good to me and has sparring and good coaches there, is Trowbridge. So when I'm not on GB, I train at Trowbridge Amateur Boxing Club. And they don't have any involvement with the GB setup at all. I just train there when I'm away from GB or back for the weekend.
It all sounds quite complicated. A whole new world is opening up to you, isn't it?
I know, it's been very difficult and I've had to make some hard decisions, but I know now I'm on the right path and I feel very, very supported. I know once, as soon as I did it and I moved, I knew it was the right decision, and obviously everything's going the right way now and I'm performing, so I'm happy.
You've always been very driven, haven't you, Ruby, ever since Sean spotted you in Stir?
100%, yeah. And I owe all my credit to Sean. He brought me into boxing and he stuck by my side for many years. But once you get older, you outgrow the nest, what I would say, and you have to move on. You have to... can't stay in Dorset, unfortunately, for the rest of my life. So with GB, that's what a coach wants, really. So they take you on, they want to help you win national titles, get you onto the England team, and then eventually make the GB team. So it's been a dream come true, really, for Stir, and I give all my thanks for them because that's where it all started. I'll never forget that.
So to continue, Ruby, to continue the metaphor, you mentioned nest. You've fledged now, and then before long you'll be like a bird, flying, fully flying in full flight.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Very, very exciting things ahead. I'm just going to grab every opportunity and keep on winning, hopefully.
I mentioned it's quite a different field to be surrounded now by people who are dedicated to the same thing as you, which is being the best of the best.
100%. I'm so much happier just being surrounded by elite level athletes, everyone training hard, everyone in the same boat. I know if a session's hard, I'm not the only one going through it, and if I ever have things going on outside of boxing, I can speak to the other athlete. We're like a family, really. Everybody understands each other because we wake up in the morning and we do our weigh-ins and we do the runs and we eat breakfast together and then do our other 2 sessions. So yeah, it's good. It's very good for the mental side of things, being surrounded by people who are at the same level as you and competing at the same tournaments.
So very, very lots of strong sense of comradeship and a great big support network, but obviously rivalry too.
Yes, there is. You got to have rivalry in boxing, I think. It pushes you to be better. So at the end of the day, we're all friends, but when we have to spar each other, we're not going to just tap each other. We want to get the full experience. We'll give each other a good fight, and then as soon as the bell's gone, we're the bestest of friends afterwards.
It's a basic human instinct, isn't it, to compete? You know, of course, that stress that you had before you became professional, of having to work to pay the bills, get up early, miss out on sleep, has that stress now been replaced by a different kind of stress, that of living up to the confidence shown in you?
Obviously, I've had a lot of pressure on me my whole life, really, because of everything I won and just how I am and how people portray me almost. So I obviously have that stress of expecting more of myself and expecting myself to perform better. But with the work and boxing side of things, I don't have any stress anymore. It's more of a breath of fresh air because I know now I can just fully concentrate on my sport and my career instead of worrying about work and the bills being paid.
Ruby, did you have a role model, a boxing role model?
I did, yeah. So for me, it was Nicola Adams. She competed at the Olympics. I think it was in 2012 at my weight at 51 kilos. So I always looked up to her. Obviously, she's not boxing anymore. So now I probably just look up to the past Olympians and the coaches that are in the gym, just putting my trust in them and know it's all gonna work out once I'm in the ring.
You mentioned that weight, 51 kilos. Now, I'm assuming you now have to be very careful about your weight and what you eat and not just getting enough sleep.
Yes, definitely. Since being on GB, we all do our own meals, so I eat very clean now, and the weight's not really an issue anymore. At 48 kilos, I made weight very wrong. I always left it last minute, and I would crash my diet a lot. But at 51 kilos, I've had that extra 3 kilos to grow into and grow some muscle, so my weight's I'm always on weight, and I'm feeling very fit at the moment. I'm eating all the right things, so it's not really a worry. So that's a good thing. So I can just concentrate on my training and my performance instead of what the number on the scale says.
So, Ruby, assuming you do well in the Commonwealth Games, and there's absolutely no reason to doubt that, the next goal will be the 2028 Olympics, won't it?
100%, yeah. I know there's 4 qualifiers next year for it. The first one's in Kazakhstan, and they're going to be very, very hard, very difficult competitions. But I think, although I'm young, I'm more than capable. I'm showing I can hold my own in the ring with these 35-year-old women at just 19. So it's going in the right place. Hopefully, I get the call up to go to the qualifiers, and then get that golden ticket to go to the Olympics. And it's so exciting. It's been my dream for so long. I always told everybody 2026 Commonwealth Games and then 2028 Olympics, and I've told people that since I've been 7 years of age. I've got a little thing I made when I was in year 3 at primary school, and it said I want to win gold at the Olympics, and I want to go to the Commonwealths at 2026 and Olympics at 28. So it just feels a bit surreal to me. Like, I always believed in myself even when nobody else did, and now it's just all working out.
It's terrific. What a wonderful goal to have. You know, women have been boxing for a long time, but you know they've never, well, haven't until fairly recently been officially recognised or allowed to box. I mean, rather shockingly, it was only at the London 2012 Games that women were allowed to box competitively in the Olympics, wasn't it?
Yeah, the sport is grown so much, especially for women in boxing, and it's amazing to see. I remember at the start when I started 13 years ago, there wasn't hardly any women. I boxed the same girls over and over and over again. But now I see all the programmes England are doing with girls. There's a programme they do which is called the Women's Aspire programme, and lots of young girls go there trying to impress the England coaches, maybe get onto the England team, or maybe just get a taster for boxing. And it's beautiful to see, really, because the sport was so quiet in the women area, and now more and more people are coming in, and there's a lot of talent out there.
And getting much wider recognition now then.
Yes, definitely. People are starting to see how women's boxing is just as good as men's boxing, and we can provide them good knockouts as well in the professional ranks.
It's happening in other male-dominated sports too, is it not?
Yes, definitely. Well, as you said, watching the Wimbledon, the women tennis players, they're absolutely insane. The runners, everybody, the standard's just getting better and better and better, and I think we're taking over the medal tallies for the men now, aren't we?
Excellent. Now, you know, Ruby, like anyone who's really good at what they do, I'm sure you get nerves before a fight too, but that's a good thing, isn't it? Keeps you alert and literally on your toes.
100%. Some fights I get more nervous than others. I haven't been nervous for a while, obviously, because I've had a few fights now, but the nerves and the adrenaline before you get into the ring, that's what helps you fight better. I always fight better when I'm nervous, because it means I care and I want to win.
It is what a good actors say, isn't it, before they step on the stage?
Definitely, yeah.
You know, I was once told by somebody that the only person you really have to compete with is yourself. Is that something you feel you do?
Yes, 100%. I'm a bit harsh on myself. I think I'm my biggest critic. I'm never happy with my performance. I know I always can do better in my fights and push myself harder in training. I always put 110% in, but you've always got to get that 1% better. So I think I will be first to judge myself and first to critique myself before anybody else does, because I know what I expect of myself, and that's more.
And Ruby, after your meteoric rise to where you are now, I guess that there must be times when you just feel a bit overwhelmed by the boxing elite you're now rubbing shoulders with.
Yeah, it's a very overwhelming sport, especially when loads of people, like for the Commonwealth, everybody's messaging me, when are you on, what time, all this and that, and I don't know, I don't get told anything either. I just turn up on the day, I get told what time I'm fighting, I get in the ring and I win. So it's overwhelming with the support, what we get up to, the training, the making weight, the travel. But it's what I want to do, and it's on the way to the end goal, which is obviously the Olympics and the professional ranks. So I enjoy it all.
Which is lovely. Ruby, thank you so much. As I say, I particularly appreciate your taking time, since you're there in Sheffield, and my guess is, what's the time now? 10 to 11. You'll be training pretty soon, will you?
Yeah, I'm going to go on a run soon, and got my strength and conditioning later, and maybe a boxing session, but only light today because I've got camp tomorrow.
Got your hat to keep sun off your head, since I assume it's also hot up there in Sheffield,
yeah,
as it is down here in Dorset?
I'll keep protected, don't worry. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
It's been lovely to talk to you, Ruby. Thank you so much. And the very best of luck. We will all be watching you with huge interest, and you'll get a huge amount of support here.
Thank you so much, and hopefully next time we speak I've got that gold medal.
Dorset's champion boxer, Ruby White. And of course, we wish her every success in the Commonwealth Games, and there'll be plenty of people, not just locally, who'll be watching keenly to see how she does. From boxing to speeding, and not sticking to 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in village or town, and speeding on rural roads, the Dorset Insider this month tackles the issue of driving too fast.
If there's one thing guaranteed to fill my inbox, it's complaints about speeding. We've all encountered the boy racers tearing round the country lanes and dicing with death on a blind bend, or the visitors in Chelsea tractors unable to reverse their 4x4s. However, I'm convinced that speeding on rural roads has got significantly worse. One reason could be the lack of policing, but the other is something creeping into villages and towns across the county, the 20 miles per hour speed limit. Most parish and town councils have been approached to implement a 20 miles per hour limit on some roads by local groups who are concerned about speeding. The rationale is that it would reduce the risk of serious or fatal injuries should there be a crash. Most people understand the need to reduce speed, especially where there are no pavements. But I wonder whether getting a 20 miles per hour limit has really made a difference. A lot of people do slow down, but many more simply don't care and steam full throttle through the villages, on top of which it's hard work dealing with the speed watch volunteers who simply don't understand why people hate the new speed limit and won't comply, especially on the street where they live. It is frustrating to see, after all the hard work getting the 20 miles per hour speed limit implemented, how it is completely ignored by those who think they are above the law. It's interesting that we have a lot of complaints about speeding, but very few volunteer to join the Speedwatch team and actually do something about it. I always find it intriguing that parents, quite rightly, raise concerns about speeding, but often have different values regarding their own behaviour. It's usually the same parents who dress their children in black in winter and allow them to cycle round the village with no high vis or any concept of how the highway code applies to them. And every village has a couple of drivers tearing through the countryside with a baby on board sticker in the back of the car, warning everyone else to be careful. Slowing down doesn't apply to them, obviously. When villagers apply for a 20 miles per hour zone, there's usually a vote or consultation in the local community. The important thing is to use your voice to say whether you support it or not. Once a 20 miles per hour limit has been approved, if you are not happy about it but did nothing to say so, how can you complain? It's a bit like all those people who didn't bother to vote in the Brexit referendum and then complained at the outcome. Another group of drivers who seem oblivious to the 20 miles per hour signs are the agricultural contractors. Yes, they have a job to do and are busy meeting deadlines. But the speed at which some of the huge vehicles hurtle through the villages is scary, and often with drivers simultaneously using a mobile phone or drinking from a can. There's scant regard for other drivers, cats, basically anyone who is unfortunate enough to be in their way. The 20 miles per hour limit is an alien concept to most of these drivers, and it's not just farm workers. Time-poor delivery drivers are as bad, and even employees of the local authority that approved the speed limit have been seen going above 20 in the zone. And then, just as you think it's safe to cross the road in the new 20 zone, along comes a group of lycra-clad cyclists who think they are competing in the Tour de France. Nothing will stop them beating their personal best speed, especially a 20 miles per hour sign. They either stream down the road at speed or hog the lane in a big pack so nothing can pass. That might actually slow down the traffic, but it adds to driver frustration. These things always take time to embed into a community, but there are people who are hell-bent on just going fast to impress. When I'm driving at a sedate 20, it's often not good enough for some. I keep to the speed limit because it would be embarrassing for a counsellor to get caught speeding. But I'm seeing an increasing number of irritated Karens behind me who simply can't believe I'm doing 20 in the zone as they want to go faster. These people are irritating at the best of times, but it's intimidating for those of us who want to keep speed limits down and drive safely. What I personally do when I see the flashing lights and gesticulations in my mirror is keep to the same speed regardless. There really is no need for that kind of behaviour. Sadly, I think most of these people are locals and know exactly what they are doing. With narrow roads, blind bends, and a sharp increase in village populations, something has to give. If we are to make roads safer, we all need to slow down and pay attention to what is around us, even if it is a gesticulating Karen. The 20 zones are designed to make villages and towns safer, but they are dependent on the driver sticking to the law.
We all know what poplars look like, tall and straight, the Lombardy poplars, that is, quaking aspens, often planted in military-style straight rows. But there's another poplar, and it's very rare. Only about 7,000 of them survive in Britain. It's the black poplar, and conservationists are trying to bring it back from the brink. One of those people is Nikki Harper of Trees for Wimborne, and I asked her to put me in the picture about this rare species of poplar. But first of all, to tell me about Trees for Wimborne.
We started about 5 years ago, and it came about because an organisation called Wilding Wimborne was created as an arm of Planet Wimborne, would you believe? And Wilding Wimborne was based on the Dave Golson report, who is an expert on insects, and so the catastrophic decline of insects that we all know about led to a set of objectives that Wilding Wimborne were going to work on. And one of those objectives was to increase tree numbers, because as you know, many insects totally rely on trees, and trees are excellent nectar and pollen source at certain times of year for insects when there's no effectively wildflowers around. So Trees for Wimborne came out of that objective, and I was asked by the chair, Linda Bunting, to lead on Trees for Wimborne. So we have been going, as I said, for 5 years, and we began in 2 ways. Firstly, by planting on public open spaces, which we've been doing, mainly council land, and secondly, the Black Poplar project. So it really all started up at about the same time.
So we'll just talk about the black poplar. I mean, I should think very few people have heard about it. But what's so special about it?
No, and I hadn't heard about it either until about 5 years ago when I started Trees for Wimborne. And what is so special is it should be more common. In theory, we should be seeing possibly as many black poplars as we have, say, crack willows, but they're not there. And they're not there because of habitat loss. And also because of the way that man has managed and then ceased to manage the tree. So it has been a bit of a downward decline for a very long time for black poplars. But what's really special is they should be there creating really good tree micro habitat next to our rivers and next to any piece of wetland that we have. They are good for habitat, not only because they're a food plant for many moths, but they also have wonderful fissures where insects can hide. The branches, like crack willows, will break, and that will create wonderful hollows for various mammals such as bats, and even down at the bank level in the roots. The roots provide places for the riverside mammals to hide.
So how does it, I mean, we all know that the oak is by far and away the most fantastic tree for the high level of wildlife that lives on it. How does the black poplar compare with that? Is it very valuable to wildlife as well?
It should be really valuable to wildlife, but of course we can't really do really good biodiversity studies in this country because we don't have enough of them. It's very difficult to do good biodiversity studies on effectively 7,000 trees.
Scattered all over the country, presumably.
Scattered all over the country and often nowhere in sight of each other. So you don't have that natural population that you would have with say, oak trees or any of the other riverside trees.
And of course, Nikki, the fact that there are only about 7,000 growing all over Britain means that a bit of a challenge for them to reproduce naturally.
It's one of the reasons why it's difficult for them to reproduce naturally. Obviously, they're dioecious, so you need to have males and females nearby to each other. We've introduced other species of poplar from abroad, which will hybridise with them.
That's the American poplar, is it?
The American poplar. And so making that very difficult as well. But also, because the ground doesn't remain damp during the summer, because we've drained the wetlands, germination is also tricky. So even if you have a male and female black poplar close together, and you don't have the American poplars nearby, they still need to germinate. Now, there's only a short window in which the seeds, once they're released, can find a suitable place that's damp to germinate. And then that place needs to remain damp for the summer months, in that first summer, while they begin to get their roots down.
So a bit more of a, given that our summers are getting drier and hotter, that's an increasing challenge for them then, for the would-be sapling.
Yes, we don't think there has been countrywide much sexual reproduction for the last 500 years. There are places in the country where it has continued, but even those in the last 100 years, I suspect, have been modified too much for successful sexual reproduction.
So you grow from cuttings then, do you?
We grow from cuttings. Yes, most people across the country grow from cuttings. There has been, in the last year or so, a move to try growing from seeds and trees for Wimborne. We do have a few seedlings, but in the main, we're growing from cuttings. And each of the trees, of course, that we take the cuttings from has to be genetically tested, because otherwise we can't be 100% sure that they're not a hybrid.
But presumably, Nikki, you also, having ascertained that, you also presumably have to ensure that your cuttings don't just come from one tree. They presumably have to come from a variety of trees because you want the genetic diversity, don't you?
We do.
Don't want to end up in a genetic bottleneck.
We do, and we have, to some extent, well, to a large extent, ended up with a genetic bottleneck. We have some clones. We have one clone which is numbered 222, and that's one of the most recent clones. So you can tell that there are very few genetic individuals in the country. 222 is what we can recognise at the moment. There may be, of course, some more out there that we haven't found, but say by some amazing chance we've only found half of them, then that only leaves us with 500 different genetic identities.
So this is Britain's rarest native tree now, is it?
It's our rarest native tree, and it's certainly quite endangered, unless it would not survive if conservationists weren't intervening.
Now, very importantly, Nikki, how would we recognise a black poplar if we should happen to see one?
Well, that is not easy. They can vary, but they tend to have, the lower branches tend to droop down and then curl back up again, a bit like a girl's 1960s, 70s haircut, really, I think. They have deeply fissured bark as they get older, not immediately, of course. They often have burrs. They frequently have really beautiful burrs on the trunks, but not everyone will have those. Their leaves tend to be longer than they are wide, which is easy to measure. Not every leaf on the tree will be exactly the same, but if in general you look at the leaves and you think these tend to be long rather than wide, whereas the hybrids tend to be wide rather than long. But the most defining feature is the leaf stalks, and you need to look at these in the sun. But if you manage to get to a shoot at the end, especially when it's not too old, and look carefully, then you will notice that the leaf stalks have hairs on them. And the hybrids don't. And so, in addition, there are other giveaway signs. Hybrids don't ever have what we call gall mites, which you frequently see on black poplars. So if you look at some of the leaf stalks, they'll have red spirals on them, and that is caused by a gall, which the hybrids don't have. But the hybrids do have mistletoe, and the black poplars don't have mistletoe.
Oh, interesting. So the black poplar has over the thousands of years that it's been around, since the last ice age, I gather, it's managed to build up a resistance to mistletoe. So the name black, from what you're saying, the name black is a misnomer, because it's obviously the leaves are green and they're not black. The trunk is a normal colour. It's not black. Is that right?
It's either grey or it's brown. Black is a name that we think may come from Greek mythology. In this country, the tree was known by what I think is a much nicer name up until the 1500s, and that was the water poplar. And then for some reason, I don't know why, that name went out of use, and they're now called black poplars.
So, Nikki, I understand that that once upon a time, the black poplar was an incredibly valuable and valued timber, which was fire resistant, which was used for cartwheels, for floorboards, even used in the Mary Rose, Henry VIII's Mary Rose ship, and it was presumably managed over the centuries, was it? Which is why it didn't die out.
We think that they were planting black poplars 1,000 years ago, and it continued to be planted. So it was planted by our rivers, by our mills, on obviously watercourses of any types, and frequently on common land. So it was managed, and it was probably pollarded in many places. Not always, because if they were using them for the crooks of buildings, a pollarded tree obviously doesn't work. What you want is an older tree with lots of nice shapes to get the right crooks for your medieval house. And yes, you're right, the timber's very springy, so it's excellent for cartwheels, it's excellent for the bases of carts.
And then I suppose, Nikki, that with the coming of the major draining of our wetland areas and the arrival, of course, of the Industrial Revolution, yes, nobody wanted black poplar wood anymore. Timber was sort of disused.
Yes.
Is that would be presumably the principal reason for its demise?
Yes, and because fashion's changed, and so not only did we no longer want large numbers of wooden carts, we didn't want to make arrows, we used guns instead. The age of iron and steel came, but also they found that the American poplar and some of the hybrids they created grew faster and they grew straighter, so they were absolutely ideal for matchsticks. And that became a large use of poplars, and we still see the remnants of plantations all over the country. That use has now gone, but for a time that's what they were used for.
So everything gets supplanted in the end. So you mentioned carts a moment ago, and of course one of the famous carts is in John Constable's painting of the Haywain, and I always assumed that the trees growing by the river in that painting were elms, but I suspect I was wrong, and they might actually be black poplars. Do you think so?
Oh yes, it's known that those are black poplars. So yes, that obviously is a lovely picture of black poplars by the mill pond.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Nikki. So you presumably, I know that the CPRE has launched a fundraising appeal to plant hundreds of native trees, a lot of them at Kingston Moorwood, including the black poplar. Now, so I'm assuming that you and your Trees for Wimborne colleagues will be helping with that, will you?
No, that Simon Holmes Nursery, who is, of course, the chair of Trees for Dorset, is involved in that particular project. We're involved in other projects. So there are more than one group working in Dorset.
But presumably you work closely with Trees for Dorset, do you?
So we helped to get them started, and we provided the initial material and the information to help them get going. And now they are growing a clone bank. So we tend to work, we can't cover the whole of Dorset, and Simon, being further west, is better placed to cover the western side of Dorset. And so we tend to cover mostly East Dorset and the Stour Valley.
Nikki Harper talking about Britain's rarest native tree, the black poplar. Finally, we're going to pay a visit to the Sturminster Newton men's shed. Not exclusively for men, although that was apparently how it all started in Australia in the 1980s as a way of improving the health and well-being of older men. The movement spread rapidly to New Zealand, the UK, Finland, Estonia, the US, Canada, and elsewhere. Sturminster Newton is a long way from Australia, but its men's shed has just the same aims as that original Aussie organisation. The slogan for men's shed is, I believe, shoulder to shoulder, a shortening of men don't talk face to face, they talk shoulder to shoulder. And in the Stur men's shed, the men there were quite contentedly getting on making things not quite shoulder to shoulder, but in good enough proximity to each other, and certainly sharing skills and knowledge, as I discovered. Daryl Howes was my guide and took me in to meet some of the men who were there. So here we are, Stur men's shed. What goes on in a men's shed?
Lots of things.
Men's stuff, is it?
Well, I don't know. I think, I'm not really sure what men's stuff actually means. As I say, we're a very inclusive setup. We have a couple of lady members. I'd be very happy to have more lady members join us if they wanted to. You can see around you lots of bits of wood. So our prime medium for working is wood. And we're very fortunate in that regard, in that we've got a couple of local companies who help us out if they have any offcuts or spare pieces of wood. And that's Conigar timber and Townsend timber. So we're very fortunate in that respect.
So, Daryl, you're working in hardwood then, are you primarily?
Can be hardwood, can be softwood, can be anything. You can see just in front of us there a very nice chessboard. Which would normally have hardwood on it. Terry could probably give us some insight.
This is Terry's handiwork, is it?
Yeah.
I actually see one completed chessboard, which looks lovely, and one that is being made. I personally couldn't even contemplate starting on something like that. Were you a handy DIY person when you first joined?
I was lucky. I was schooled by my father, who was a very keen DIYer. So, I'm just kind of okay. But I think since I've been here, and I've been here about 4 years now, I have got better, and particularly in the use of hand tools. Again, you can see around us there's a lot of electrical equipment, sophisticated.
Some potentially dangerous power tools around the place.
Absolutely, and that's another thing. We're very keen on health and safety. We all go through a health and safety check.
You wish to leave with all your fingers intact, don't you?
Indeed, we check at the end of every session that everything's where it should be, absolutely. But although we've got access to this special equipment, it's quite good sometimes to go back to the old ways and use the chisel and the saw and all the things that we used many years ago.
It's very satisfying, isn't it, doing things like that?
Absolutely, it is, and it's not just the end result which is satisfying, it's the process as well. It's actually seeing it come together. Well, I certainly find that fulfilling anyway.
Now, presumably, you're not... Oh, that's a particular... there's something going through a saw there. Presumably, you're not all self-taught here, are you, Terry?
Most of us are, yeah. I've not been to any sort of carpentry schools or anything like that. Like I said, I was a plumber, and you go on site and you learn from everybody else. And they pass on their information, you pass on information to them, and in the end of the day, some people take it on board, some people don't. I'm lucky that most of the stuff that goes into my head stays in there, so basically with health and safety, as Darryl was saying, in here it's more often me shouting at somebody to stop before they injure themselves, because people get it into their head that they can do all sorts, and there's a right way and a wrong way of doing all sorts usually. So it's down to usually ends up with me sort of saying, please stop doing that like that. It's safer to do it like this.
But Daryl, so what do you do with the things that you make here?
We attend country fairs, for example, and sell the products that we make.
Such as the Oak Fair, I assume, which would be absolutely perfect.
No, we haven't been to that one.
You don't do the Oak Fair?
We haven't been to that one, no, not as yet.
Well,
that's probably the only one that we don't do.
We do the cheese festival here in Stur, down the bottom. We also do
you make cheese boards, presumably, do you?
We have done, we make cheese boards and fruit boards and goodness knows what. Bug boxes, bug houses, bird boxes. What else have we got down there?
We've just completed a large piece of work for Farnfields, the local solicitors firm, who wanted to have an environmental initiative in order to celebrate their 90th anniversary of being in business. So we were very fortunate in that Farnfields approached us and said, look, we want a number of bird boxes, hedgehog boxes, etc., and we want to distribute those amongst the community. Can you help us sort of put this together? So quite unusually in the time that I've been here, it was all hands to the pump to produce things on a much larger scale than we normally would do. So Jenny, you were asking about how work comes to us. So as individuals, we can come in, there might be a project that we individually want to complete for ourselves, for our own satisfaction, or in my case it might be a piece of DIY, so I'm doing it here.
Following in your father's footsteps?
Following in my father's footsteps and then taking it home. And then there are things like the commissions from people like Farmfields, and then we will get individuals come in, and just over there in the corner there's a chair which needs a bit of fettling, so someone might come
a bit of what?
Fettling.
Fettling.
A northern term.
And
it needs sorting out, Jenny.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Fettling, that's a new word for me to add to my vocabulary.
I don't think they know it in Dorset, you're right. Yeah, so the chair might have a wonky leg or a wonky back, so we can set to and generally make it good again.
So people or people in the community can ask you at the men's shed to do things?
People in the community can come to us. And, so some projects we do, unfortunately, have to say, well, that's a bit beyond us, or it's not really, within our expertise, so we have to turn those away, but not all.
And then, Darryl, if you take on a job for a private individual, presumably you charge for that?
We do, but we try and keep things reasonable. So, and of course we let people know an estimate beforehand, and if it's not for them, they can take it away. That's absolutely fine. No harm done.
So why do people join men's sheds?
I think it's probably for a variety of reasons. We were referring earlier on about rural loneliness, and I think there's been a lot written and a lot said about that. I think the other thing is men's shed. Men perhaps are not terribly good at saying when they need a bit of help, when they're a little bit at sea, and they need a chat with someone. And although we don't sort of do that openly and overtly, there's no doubt about it when we get together over a cup of tea and we chew the cud, a lot of issues come out of that. People may have family problems. Most of us are at an age where we have elderly parents or elderly relatives, so you have all of the issues around that going on. That can be a challenge for some people.
But of course this also offers an opportunity in that case to get away and have time to yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's been said many times by people working on projects here, they can just zone out, and whatever else is going on in their lives just disappears, and they can focus on that one thing. And I think the other thing someone said is it's an opportunity to slow down. Modern life has an awful lot of pressures, and I think if you're working on something like that chessboard in front of us, you can focus on that and that alone.
And you can't hurry it, can you?
No, absolutely. If you hurry, it's probably going to go wrong.
And you might lose a finger.
Absolutely.
You look at most of the machinery in here, there's at least a sign of some description on there, just to remind people, check every piece of equipment before you use it, because the last person may not use it as safely as you want to.
So always check your tools, your equipment before you start using them.
Yeah.
That's a very good rule.
Yeah, when I went over there to check this machine before use, it's your fingers. The last thing we want is somebody to lose fingers, which is what I did 3 years ago on there. On the table.
Show me.
Table saw, I went right across there.
Oh, nasty.
It was, yes.
Bit of a gusher, was it?
Yes, it was at the time, yes. Yeah, I ended up in your hospital for 5 hours, so.
But they fixed it for you?
Yeah, there was some steri strips on there and something, basically.
So Darryl, who is your equipment donated to the men's shed?
Yes, that's another area where we're very grateful for the support of the community. Unfortunately, people who were very keen on home hobbies do pass on, and quite often we're approached by a widow or whatever who would like the equipment to go to a good home, would like to see it continue to be used. So yeah, we're very fortunate in receiving donations from any number of people.
When the machinery isn't running, it's a lovely, peaceful atmosphere, isn't it, in here? Everybody concentrating. Now, I can see what looks like a beehive being made there. Can we go over and have a look, Darryl?
Let's go.
It does look suspiciously like a beehive to me. A rather beautiful one.
This is Tony Atkinson.
Hello.
Hello, Tony. Is that a beehive you're making?
No, this is a hedgehog box.
Oh, right. Because it looks
hideout.
That's a very smart hedgehog. It's for a very tall hedgehog, is it?
Well, by the time they've got themselves in and tucked up snug with a roof over the top, yes, they need a bit of ventilation during hibernation. So basically we make it about just over the foot high to allow for a leg for it to stand on clear of the ground, and then the floor will go in effectively about 1.5 inches above the ground, so it gets insulation from cold soil and plenty of room for padding of either our design, throwing in hay or whatever, or allowing them to build their own nest inside it.
So you give it effectively a raised floor, which presumably the hedgehog wouldn't have the luxury of that in the wild, would it?
No.
Although it would make a nice nest for it.
He'd make a much nicer nest in many, many ways, but you don't want him underneath the garden shed or underneath the compost heap if you can avoid it. So we try and make it a reasonably nice alternative for him, even if it hasn't got central heating or air conditioning.
I shouldn't think the hedgehog wants central heating if it's trying to hibernate. So, and you'll put a flat roof on top of that, will you?
There's a flat roof on top, yeah.
And then do you this is presumably untreated timber, is it?
Yeah. Yes, because if you use treated timber, they don't like the smell of it, and it lasts for a very long time.
Well, and the chemicals are not good for them.
That's right. Not good for them, so it's untreated broadly.
Untreated what? Pine?
This is pine, yeah.
And you'll leave it like that? It will just be effectively raw wood?
Don't paint it or varnish it or anything like that again, because they don't.
Are you making this for yourself and your garden?
No, this will be to go on when we come up to Cheese Festival fairly shortly and have a stand there for selling. Hopefully it will get sold then.
We could put a large lump of cheese in the shape of a hedgehog inside it to give people the idea.
Hedgehogs don't go much on cheese, at least my ones don't.
They'd be very
I've
bad
got two in the garden, which is very nice, but they don't go for the cheese, they leave that for the birds.
You have two hedgehogs. I'm very envious. That's lovely. Are they permanent residents?
I don't know, but they've been with me, I suppose, just recently for about 3 weeks solid. But they didn't like coming the night before last because next door's cat was left out, and they don't like cats. So, but they were back again last night, so I had both of them there, and I've got a nighttime video to look and see what's happening. So they were there, which is good.
But will you make a hedgehog house for your two residents? You've got one.
That's already there. They haven't used it, but I've got it.
But it would be in use in the winter, won't it?
I hope so, yes. Yeah.
And your next project then?
Have no idea at all. I'll wait and see.
Lovely. Well, and what is this strange, Darryl? What is this strange piece of kit here that looks like something actually that came out of Alien? This sort of long plastic extraction pipe.
Yeah.
Please, yes. Tell me, what is this?
That's a surfacer.
Now this.
So the machine before us now, Jenny, is a surfacer planer. So quite often.
Very sophisticated planer then. Oh, I see. So that sort of pipe that looks like something out of Alien, that's sucking out the shavings then.
Yes. You may have found your throat's getting a bit dry in here. Obviously, we do need to control the amount of sawdust that we produce. So you can see.
You don't want it going into your lungs.
Absolutely. So you can see around you, and indeed beyond there in the corner, you've got various extraction devices, pipe work going through. Terry's been very fastidious in making sure that we've got efficient extraction.
And if we step outside the door, where does that? Is that collected in? Collected in big bags?
It collects in a big bag, actually within the shop. So, and we make use of that because that's ideal compost, actually. You can pop that on your garden and mix it up, and there's no reason why that can't be used.
And very
So
good
nothing
as,
is
very
wasted.
good as a mulch too.
Very
Darryl.
good as a mulch, yeah, absolutely. So, nothing is wasted, as I say. The surface of planer that we were talking about there.
Oh, well, let's go back inside,
piece
shall we?
of kit-
After you.
So, if you've got a project to make, wood doesn't come in standard sizes, or not at least the kind of wood that is donated to us. So the first thing that we have to do is make sure it's of a uniform size. So this is what this does. So you can turn the wheel there and adjust the setting, put a piece of wood through, followed by several other pieces, and it will all be machined down to the same dimensions. So that makes life a lot
very
easier.
different from the planer that sits in my kitchen cupboard.
Oh, okay. That's a little less sophisticated.
Because I don't use it very often. In fact, I think I may only have used it once or twice. So all in all, how many pieces of equipment have you got here?
Altogether, we've probably got about 6 or 8. We've got a couple of, we double up on some things because obviously people want to use the same machine at the same time. So if we've got 2 machines, it helps to keep people busy. And we've actually been very fortunate recently to be awarded or donated that item there that Nick is working on, which is a grinder. type.
Which? Should we go and have a look?
Yeah.
Oh, I can see. Hello, Nick.
So, Nick, we were just looking at this piece of equipment which has been donated to us recently. Is that right? So we're just trying to understand exactly what that does.
So it's a grinder.
It's a grinder for sharpening the chisels and plane blades.
Oh, okay. So that's the whetstone there.
Yeah, that's the whetstone.
Again, keep your fingers well away from that one, don't
that's
you?
right.
When you've got that
So,
running.
I'm just making up a bench to put it on, a portable bench. Going to have this board and put some wheels on the bottom.
And so it'll be
and then
screwed to that
screwed it
bit
to the
of board.
Then we can move it around the workshop if we need to. So as we've always running out of space, and so we can put it in a corner and bring it out when we need to use it.
So that is a very important piece of kit, isn't it? Because if you haven't got sharp tools, forget it.
We can't make a good job of it, or it makes hard work of it if we've got nice sharp tools. So yeah, it's useful. Very good donation. That's a lot of money to donate. So very pleased with it.
So once you've done that, what are you working on at the moment?
I'm not doing anything at the moment. I just finished my last project, which was some bug boxes, and we dismantled a shed for an old lady down the road, and now
Was
we're
that
looking for
timber
something.
any use?
Yeah, we use the timber to go towards making other projects, and so now I'll be looking for something else to do now. Probably do some tidying up and sort some wood out. The wood store's in a bit of a mess at the moment, so I think I'll probably go and tidy that up.
Very useful job. So Darryl, here is a chair. That is, I can see one chair that needs, what's that word? Feckling, was it? Northern word for fixing.
Very well pronounced. Yeah. So this is an example of what we were discussing earlier on, where people would maybe give us a bit of a project and say, is that an area where we can help? Mike, are these things
Nice
that
little
members of
old
the public
wooden
have
chair.
actually brought in, or are they from another source?
We do odd jobs for various people, especially to Stour Community Connect over the road. Chairs.
So
Things
this
get
is-
damaged, and we tend to repair them.
So now that looks as if you're going to be sanding that because it's
No, I don't
You
think
just-
so.
just-
I think that there's just the leg joints become loose, so we just tighten them up.
spot of glue, was it?
Put a spot of glue and a pin. A little hole and a pin through just to lock the joint. We do quite a few jobs like this for various people. Church notice board was repaired and redone a while ago.
And before you started coming to the men's shed, were you a dab hand at carpentry and woodwork?
Not at all. No, not in any shape. I was a gamekeeper come groundsman, but my hobby was tractors and ploughing. So this is totally different to me. I've always been sort of practical, but not specialising in woodwork. More metalwork or machinery rather, sort of thing.
So how did you, so other people here taught you then? Wait, how to work with wood?
We all sort of rub along. You tend to be a parasite on other people's talents and learn a bit from here and a bit from there. Pick it up. But I've only been coming for 2.5 years, something like that.
And why did you join?
Sorry?
Why did you come first?
Why? I wanted something to do other than at home in the garden, which turned out to be a really good move.
Yeah. And good company.
Absolutely. Yep. We all get on very well. We are part of a team, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you get out of coming here?
Oh, all sorts. I get the satisfaction of doing the jobs to start with. You learn new things and you meet new people. It's a bit of a comrades, I suppose, kindred spirits, and nice to just get out away from home for a day and have something different.
And to come here, come rain or shine,
yes.
Whatever the season.
Oh, absolutely, 2 days a week, unless I have commitments at home, and there are times when I can't make it, but if I'm available, I'm here.
And once you've finished feckling that, see, I've got it, that word, haven't I? Once you finish feckling this chair, what are you going to be doing?
I don't know. I don't really know. Terry will find something. He's always finding something. We have a project on with a chess top table. So that's probably
which you will make from scratch.
Yes, it's partly made now, but I should give Terry a hand to put it together, I think.
And who are you making that for?
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Terry's in charge of that one.
Terry's in charge, so yes, I'm just the assistant. yeah.
Well, I'll leave you to continue feckling your splendid chair for the centre.
So I don't know whether you'd like a quick word with Tim Wilson, who I mentioned is the other person that leads the shed here, and Tim is a trustee with Community Connect over the way there.
Absolutely. Let's go and talk to Tim. Let's interrupt him from what he was busy doing. That was a fairly ferocious-looking shirt you're wearing. Bomb unit, Falkland Islands. Is this genuine, or is these stickers that you just like to sewn on there?
The Falkland Islands is genuine. I did 4.5 years in the Air Force and was stationed down there for 3 years.
Not during the Falklands War?
No, it was after the conflict. I didn't join up until 83, so we were doing the clean-up, shall we say. So I managed to acquire one of these badges for my own personal.
Not very many people have those, I'll bet.
Probably not. But the rest of them are all things, because one of my other hobbies apart from here is doing airsoft, which is similar to paintballing. So I run around fields with guns.
Boys with toys, you mean?
That's it, yes. Yeah.
Grown-up boys with grown-up toys.
Grown-up toys.
So we better just go and step outside the door for a moment, because there's... So Tim, how long have you been involved with the men's shed?
Just over 7 years. So the men's sheds for Sturminster Newton has probably been going between 7 and 8 years. And I joined it when it was originally over in the Community Connect building. And I've been with it ever since. And I enjoy it. My wife got me involved in it because she didn't want me sitting around the house doing...
Getting under her feet?
Yes, shall we say. And I've always had an interest in woodwork since my father was alive. He was into woodwork as well. So I've kind of carried on things that he'd done. And it's just progressed from there. Yes, as Darryl said, I am a trustee for the Community Connect, so I'm the kind of a liaise between Community Connect and the men's shed. They keep a hold of our purse strings. Otherwise, if we didn't have that, I don't think the men's shed would have existed as long as it has, because we just can't sustain our own being. They organise all our shows. They book us into places like the Cheese Festival. So we'll be doing, I think it's Sturminster Newton Cheese Festival this year again. I think we're doing the Heavy Horse Show is another one that we've recently started doing. And we just did the Railway Garden affair down there that unfortunately the weather wasn't the way it was hoping to be.
Not as it is at the moment.
Not as it is at the moment.
Maybe a bit too warm at the moment.
So it wasn't as successful as we were hoping, but it was successful enough. We got a lot of interested parties were coming in and talking to us, which is what they're mostly all about.
And Tim, what do you personally get out of belonging to the men's shed here?
The support, because I have suffered from mental health in recent years, so the lads here have been absolutely fantastic. They know with me that if I've got my headphones on, then it's a case of, well, we'll stay away, he'll let us know what's going on when he's ready. And they've just really supported me from start to finish. So that's it. It's more of a support group, shall we say, but we've all have something in common, that we like working with wood.
But a support group that actually does practical things of use to other people.
It is practical use for other people, and also we help each other. So we are supporting ourselves, but any new members that come in, we also offer them open arms to come and join us, to be part of the community group. We are hoping to do a little bit more for the community, but it's kind of getting our name out there to the other companies out there, which we are slowly doing.
So just one final thing, Tim. Strictly speaking, are all your members retired?
No, I'm not.
You're not retired?
No, I'm still fully employed at the moment. Got about another 2.5 weeks left working with His Majesty's Prison Service. I'm a head chef for Majesty's Prison Service. I've been for 26 years, so I've decided to hang up the white jacket.
Did you start doing that when you finished in the Falklands?
No, I started there. I started down here in 1999, but I have been
a bit after the Falklands then, right?
A bit
after.
But I have been in catering for over 40 years, so it kind of just carried on from there. But hopefully, when I've retired from the prison service, I can find another full-time job that will take me on what I like doing, which is working with food as well.
And wood. Oh yes. So I've got a few ideas for a couple of projects on the go, but I keep sort of adding more projects to it. And many thanks to the Sturminster Newton Men's Shed for inviting me along to meet them and find out more about what they do. And that brings us to the end of this July 2026 Dorset Life Podcast. I hope you'll join me, Jenny Devitt, next month. And so, until then, bye-bye.